Hey guys, Jim the coffee guy back here again. Final update finally. We have a new brew unit, which has been running for a little while now. I've actually forgotten to update you guys, I'm sorry about that. So, as you can see, this is the section that actually broke off. It's got a little screw holding it in place. And back in we go. Click. And I've just filled up the beans, so we've got two different blends. You can probably see a colour difference between left and right. One's a slightly darker roast. We are rocking a very lovely Villanova blend from a friend of mine down here in Melbourne, Australia. Also, just a side note, beans. Keep these in a cool, dry place, not in a refrigerator. I have heard of a few people doing that. And something like these sealed jars are perfect. Couple of dollars at the likes of Kmart or something similar, and it'll keep it fresh for quite a long time. Do not use the existing bag or just flip the top over, or pegs or rubber bands. You need a sealed container, plastic, glass, whatever. Glass is better because you don't get anything else in there, but anyway. Alright, so the brew unit. The brew unit basically failed just because it could. Time, age, use, and a little bit of bad luck. Could anything have been done to prevent it from failing? Sadly, no. I think the biggest problem in this particular case is use. I think I mentioned it's 2.5, pushing towards 3 years old now. So it's had a reasonable workout, and we'll show you in a minute actually. Put that in there. Okay. So one of the good things about this little machine is the menu. You'll have to excuse the poor light. If we press and hold on the menu for about 5 seconds, we get a menu. So if we go down to, I believe is it system? And we go to statistics, we can see that it has actually done 3,924 beverages. We've had 8 coffee cleans and 9 descales in that time, which is actually not too bad. So we're at 4,000 beverages over 3 years. You can do the math. That's, in my opinion, that's pretty good. While we're in here, we also have a few things that we can change. For example, the clock. We can change the auto off time, energy saving functions to turn the machine off if it's in standby for too long, setting of the water hardness of the machine. If you happen to have particularly hard or soft water, this will change the frequency of the descales. I would recommend using high quality water and setting it nice and low. Obviously language and basic info. And using direct keys, we can actually program each of the touch sensitive buttons at the top here. Obviously mine are already programmed for what I like. We also have, if we exit, My Coffee. So My Coffee, I don't really use very much, but I do have one down here for the mother-in-law for Colleen. Basically, My Coffee means that if we go out, we can basically set up these keys for any particular user. So all I have to do is press My, and it will allow us to select from whoever may happen to be in this particular list. In this case, just toggling My, pressing repeatedly, and you'll get the different users. So if we go to Colleen, for example, this is the mother-in-law's beverages. She has a particular long black that she likes, not too strong, large cup. So it's been programmed for her. And if we want to go back, we'll just scroll back to our main page. So that's a little bit about her, and obviously you guys want to see it running. Last things about the brew unit, I would say I believe that you cannot buy that small elbow union that was broken separately. There is one service repair kit which is about $50 Australian, shipped from the UK. It's a repair or a maintenance set which does include that elbow, but considering the cost and time involved in getting it, I opted to buy a new brew unit from Melitta directly, and I was lucky I got it at a reasonable price, but the retail price is about $150, give or take. So for the extra cost I get a new brew unit, I retain the old one and keep it as spare parts, and why not? Makes sense to me. So, making coffee. Let's just punch one out so you can see. Perfect. You would have heard the grinder just start to make a different sound at the end because the beans ran out in the chamber, which is exactly what we want. And boom. Bearing in mind there's a little shot of water at the start. And that's a particularly wide cup. And not too bad. A couple of millimeters of creamer on there. Not perfect, but that is purely because of the size of the cup. So for example, if we take a slightly smaller cup here, let's try that one more time. Much better. One fixed. God, that's good. Perfect coffee machine. Okay. One small addendum. I would say the biggest problem with these machines. Caffeo coffee cup today. Thank you, McDonald's. But yeah, the biggest problem with the machines compared to the likes of a percolator or drip filter coffee machine is the added cost and maintenance. So cost of maintenance and cost of outright purchase of the machine. A home percolator machine you can probably buy for what? $50, $100, $150, maybe less, maybe more, depending on model and options. Whereas this, in Australian dollars, cost me, they're around about $1,600 to $2,000. So, not cheap, unfortunately. I wouldn't say prohibitively expensive, but for what you get, it's a lot of money. And the amount of time I've had it, I'd say it's more than paid for itself. I mean, the amount of money I've put into it versus the amount of use I've had out of it, 4,000 coffees. If I paid $1 per coffee, it's already well and truly paid for itself twice over. And not only that, but it can make hot water, hot chocolates, the likes. So I'm quite happy with it overall. No problems at all. So I would say if you're considering getting a Super Auto, look into it carefully, take your time. They're definitely worth getting. If I was doing it again, would I buy another one of these machines? Yes, I would. The only thing that I would possibly consider changing if I was looking at a machine would be a dual thermoblock. Why a dual as opposed to a single like this? And that is simply for speed, the ability to make hot water or coffee or foam milk simultaneously rather than once after the other, as you would have just seen. and also as a result of having 2 thermoblocks or boiler units instead of 1, you don't have to have the ceramic multi-way valve, which failed in this machine. Why did the valve fail? Age, use, design, that's debatable. I know it's a common fault across multiple brands and types. They are all very similar, and as I've said previously, I think they're on version 4, so it is getting better. I may not have another problem with this, and other people may not as well. Hard to call. What I can say though is that regardless of that, a dual boiler system does not require a multi-valve. As a result of that, that problem cannot occur. So one thing to consider, although I do not deem it to be particularly important in this case. For the amount of volume I do, it's not necessary. If I was more concerned about that, I would probably look into probably a more traditional machine, or a much larger version that did not have a multi-valve. It had dedicated boilers, and you'd be taking a rather large price jump from, as I was saying, 2,000 to at least 3,000 to 5,000, if not more, and you may be dropping away from some of the super automatic features that this machine has. Let's just now I know it says to put the tube in the hole down here. I actually don't, and there's a reason for that. First, the machine will do a purge of water, running it to the outlet. The next, it will run some down the tube. If I run the water through there and then place it in its little hidey hole, it runs exactly the same, but with one added bonus. And the bonus in this particular case is that the small hole in this container can get milk in it, because it's obviously had milk running through the internal tube and out through the line. It's all good and well to clean this line, but what happens if you have this and there's a bit of milk sitting in the outlet here? If it dries, if it's been in the refrigerator for a few hours or a day or more between uses, what will happen is that the milk tube will try and suck milk through. It'll have a little flake of milk coming through here. It will block this rather small, probably hard to see hole. I would say that's probably a 2mm hole, maybe slightly less. Anyway, it'll block that hole, and then suddenly, instead of getting nice milk, you'll get steam and spluttering and then you'll have to stop the machine, pull the hose out, clean the section and the blockage which will be in here, put it back in, and then top up with milk. What I just did, it's clean. No problems, no blockages, and it'll never stop or fluff around again, basically, if you do this. And I would recommend this for any machine that does have an external container similar to this, but use with caution, obviously, if you do that, and if you don't, yeah, definitely investigate whether it's worth getting one of these for yourself. As I say, I can highly recommend them, as long as you have a use case. 1 cup a day, probably not worth it. 2, 5, 10, multiple people, very much worth it. And the coffee, if you get a good blend and get it calibrated correctly, fantastic, second to none. That will leave a percolated machine for dead. Alright, well, time to wrap up this, and we'll see you guys again soon. Next video will probably be an update and a bit more fun and games with the TS80 soldering iron, and a nice little surprise that I have for the battery system for that I've designed. And after that, we will possibly look into some slightly bigger versions of these, show you what I work with on a more daily basis. If you're interested in that, give me a comment, throw me a message, let me know if there's something you want to see specifically, and we'll see what we can do. Until next time, I'm Jim the Coffee Guy. Thanks for watching.